Good afternoon and good morning, because Chris, you're in Denver.
No, I'm on the East Coast, but I work out of
So
Denver.
we're all East Coasters, so it is afternoon since it's noon. I'm super excited. The booj CRMs have been a really hot topic for a long time.
Yeah.
I've been using like the monthly newsletters, and I think people get confused because you click newsletters or drips and they weren't there. But it was like, they are there. You just have to go into a different way than what we thought. But getting the booj drip campaigns in there now, I know today is all about that. You have a full agenda. So I am just going to sit back, let you introduce yourself. And if anyone in the comments can go ahead and give us a shout out, where are you streaming from? Where are you watching us? Love the input. Ask your questions if you have any. They do have quite a full list of things to go over. So we may hold a lot of the questions until the end because they're going over a ton. But you guys take it away. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Heather, for having us again. I love doing these lives. It's such a good energy, and there's such an adrenaline rush when you get to like share info that's just, it's great. And this product I have used, and you guys know who I am because I've been on these lives quite a few times, but Tavia Ritter, now working at Remax HQ, and formerly with Remax of Reading for 15 years. In that time, I used several different campaign platforms, like a lot of different vendors. And by far, this one is the most user-friendly, easy to use. And I think you'll see that at the end of the hour. But next door to me, we've got Chris. Chris?
Yeah, huge honor to be here. So thank you for having me. My name's Chris Wallenwitz. I'm a senior technology solutions consultant. Prior to this, I worked at a large multi-office Remax franchise in Northwest Ohio and was a Remax agent myself. And so I've used a lot of CRMs over the years. And so I'm really excited to talk to you about the drip campaigns inside of booj.
Yes. And Miss Karina?
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. So I've only been with the Remax team for a few months now, but I've dived in deeply into campaigns and the CMS. So really excited to talk to you about what we've been able to do with campaigns, everything that we've heard so far, and everything that we're doing in the future to be able to provide a really cool product for your business.
Yeah, and I think that's it, that it is really cool and it is user-friendly, and we've all had access to the contacts, to the content management system, the website builder, and all this stuff. And Heather and I have done a lot of that, and it's the same flow, it's the same design. It makes it simple. Unlike some of the other platforms that I've used in the past that can be really complicated and you're looking at the screen and there's just so much to look at, this is clean, it's simple, it's easy to use, and it's smart. And we're going to get into that too, as far as the recipient lists that you can build for the drip campaigns and just around that a lot. So talking about the design of it, before we start screen sharing, let's talk about the design and how we got here. So it didn't have campaigns when it had single campaigns when it first launched, and drip campaigns launched last month. Am I right on that? Time is just a construct, but Karina, I'm right. Last month, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what factors went into building what you see now?
So we heard loud and clear from so many requests and idea portal submissions and just through various feedback sessions that you love the ability to be able to send emails, but you wanted to automate that a little bit more, right? Mm-hmm. So the goal of drip campaigns was to work towards that. We wanted to make sure that we could automate the campaign. So instead of just sending one single email with good information that was a great touch point, we wanted to help you build something that would continuously send out touch points or communications to your clients. And we wanted to provide a mechanism to be able to do that, but make sure also that those touch points were really high quality, they were consistent, and they were good messaging. So when building it, the idea was, how can we make this really simple for you? How can we make it really automated? How can we allow you to set it up once, and then, like Tavia's been mentioning, use things like smart lists to pull people in automatically. And we'll talk about exactly how that works. But when it comes to just what did we think about and what went into the thinking of the design and the layout and the overall function of drip campaigns, that's what we were thinking about. We wanted to make sure that it was kind of a set it and forget it kind of thing. Spend some time creating it, and then maintaining it is really simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're taking feedback too from the network. So we definitely want to give a shout out to I always get this wrong. ideas.remax.net.
Yep.
.com. Okay. Because I say .com and then it doesn't go to the right place, but also accessible through Max Center. So Max Center has an idea portal right there too, that you can submit your ideas and then go in and check them out. And vote them up if you have other ones. In addition to the drip campaigns that were released last month, we also have other kinds of campaigns in there, and not everybody has gone in and played with them. Chris, why don't you tell us about the different kinds of campaigns that are in there? Because it's not just drip. We're going to talk heavily about drip today, but we've got other stuff in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, drip is, the new exciting toy and that everybody wants to get in there and play with. And,
Right.
It's like that old adage, you can work in your business or on your business, and drip campaigns are one of those things that help you scale with your business. But in addition to that, you of course still have this really cool way of sending either single send emails. It's like a one-off, or one that I love is the recurring emails. And so, here where I live, we have these kind of local holidays like 419 Day coming up on April 19th, because that's our zip code or area code. Being able to set up that recurring email that goes out on 419 that you just hop in, edit with this year's content. Maybe you set a reminder or a task for yourself using the task plans. Not what we're talking about today, but I think it's cool how this all works together. And now every single year, you are the one agent that's sending out that email. And you're creating that connection on something that everybody loves, and it doesn't even have to be about real estate. And it's just a really cool feature. And then, of course, we have our monthly newsletters that get put out at the beginning of each month. They're wonderful. What I love about them is for people that are kind of hopping into the system for the first time, or maybe this just isn't your thing just yet. Grabbing that kind of newsletter content, editing 2 paragraphs and rewriting them for yourself. And now you have this custom newsletter that no one else has.
I love it.
I'm always saying just add a graphic for a local event. My office is on the Space Coast. So having a graphic with the launch schedule for the, upcoming month, and then using one of the graphics for whatever holiday, now you've just customized it. You've added local value, and the rest of it looks great. You don't have to do anything else. And if you have a listing, add that in there. But I think it's just so easy to make it more of a local intentional content.
Yeah.
And add your own voice. I love it.
Yeah. And the thing is that agents are amazing marketers when it comes to this in the kind of print media or physical media realm, because you're sending out the local high school football team schedule or the local community charitable thing that's going on next month. But as we kind of live in this more digital world now than ever before, it's important that we're mirroring those efforts in this kind of email, digital website space.
Absolutely love it. And one of the other things too, Chris, you can absolutely send on dates. So like a takeaway from this session is everybody who's watching, go set up one for St. Patrick's Day. Who doesn't love St. Patrick's Day? March 17th every year. But how do you do like Thanksgiving? Because that's the 4th Thursday of every, November, whatever it is. Third, somebody correct me. What is it? The 3rd Thursday or the 4th Thursday? I don't know. But you can set that up in recurring campaigns too. Like it is really a smart system. It doesn't have to be a specific date. It can be a day. So the 3rd Thursday of every year for 10 years, you want to send out a happy Thanksgiving. The system will do that too. And I love that you set it up once and then it's done. And historically, our agents who have done that, like agents in my office, my former office, were like, so, hey, Tavia, my client just called me and said, thank you for the email I sent. Which one did I send? Because they set it up and then didn't have to think about it anymore, but it still kept them top of mind with their sphere of influence, their database, whatever term you want to use for that. And it's just such a powerful thing that you can literally set up in a few minutes and then not think about it again, right? So, and personalizing it, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely love it.
Yeah,
cool.
And it works so well with the tags. If you have one of my mentors when I was a baby agent supported the soccer team that his daughter was on, and every month they got the newsletter about what was happening in their town with the soccer team, and just by de facto he kind of became the authority of the newsletter for the soccer team because he just went out and started doing it. And so having these tools is just such a beautiful way to invest in your community and provide value and information.
Love it. So let's jump in. Guys, I know this is going to go fast. I like to be organized. I have an outline, this whole agenda of things that we wanted to talk about. Just for reference, there are a ton of videos on this stuff that are on RE/MAX University. And this is, Heather, going to be recorded. We're going to put it in the unit section, right?
Yes. Now the units are guides, but yes, just like wherever this is being shown, it will go into the guide section, just like all the other videos we do every single week. So it's always available to watch. Maybe you can Mickey Mouse speed it or just stop play as you need to. You ready for me to share screen?
I am. Let's go.
All right, let's
do it. All right. So I skipped ahead because I figure anybody who's already online knows how to get in here. You do go to Max Center. That's remax.net and click on the booj tile. To get where I am, I then clicked on campaigns, and you immediately land on the most easy to create single send campaign. But before Chris gets into telling us a little bit more about the mechanics of this, I wanted to show you guys the dashboard too, because this isn't the default landing page for campaigns, but this will. And this is another great thing, like MailChimp and some of these other services that you can use, send out emails, give you analytics. So does booj. So it does send you, like, here's the emails that were sent, here's the opens, the click-through rate if you had a link on there, unsubscribes and bounces. Now, this is a test account that I've been using, so this doesn't have a ton of numbers, but there are numbers in here because I was like, okay, I'm going to send it to myself. I'm going to click on it just so something shows up. And this is all of the campaigns you send out. Each individual one has this available too, so that's just worth talking about. But Chris, the single send campaigns, single send, the reason for sending these out would be,
so
what's the use case?
The term that's been used a million times before is an email blast. So you have one email that needs to go to 25 people or 200 people or 6 people, and you need an easy way to get this out the door. What I love about this is you just click you just follow the blue prompts. So you add the campaign, you give it a name. You also, I love that there's an option here. So maybe you're not used to the kind of sub menu system of the left column inside of booj. So you started on single, you click build a campaign, but booj is going to ask you again, hey, we're doing a single, right? Not a recurring, not a drip. Right. So you have the option to swap here as well.
Yeah.
Just keep following the blue buttons, build campaign. And then my favorite part about the campaigns is it uses a really elegant builder. So everything, you're able to kind of see everything at once and then hop into those sections that you want to change. So of course you can like delete or save as a draft and come back later. You kind of have this path now that diverges. It's like a fork in the road. Do you want to start from scratch with a blank canvas? So maybe you have marketing you want to make from scratch, or do you want to use a template? I think for most people, starting with templates is absolutely fantastic. Great way to kind of familiarize with the system. You're always going to see newsletters towards the top, since those are typically going to be the most recent. But as you can see here, Tavia is doing a quick search using the same filters that you use in the contacts and leads, or even some of the pages and things. So here we're going to select a template. You can do a preview if you'd like on the right-hand side, but you can, of course, hop in and just start editing, which is really nice. Yep. So you click use this template. It loads up, takes just a second. And now you have this option to go in and edit that email, as well as the subject and preview line. Preview line, for anybody who uses like Outlook or Gmail, that's the kind of smaller text underneath the subject. And then this is my favorite part about the campaign builder. I've used so many CRMs over the years in real estate and kind of other projects. What I love about booj is that this is the same style builder, that content management system, that website editor that you're used to. So it's kind of like that movie, The Karate Kid, right? It's like booj is Mr. Miyagi. So as you learn to build your website, you learn how to build the campaigns.
Yeah, I love that. I
wax
love
on, wax off. Yeah.
So it's not like completely different look and feel to the editor. I mean, once you've gone into your booj website, these blocks, it
makes sense. It's logical. That's what I was talking about in the very beginning. Like the flow of this, it's not rocket science. It's very simple, very clean. There's not a lot of choices on this page. Like what does a pencil do? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to click on that pencil and kind of show you what Chris is talking about editing. So in here, we can do all sorts of fun stuff. Like if I wanted to say this twice, let's just add more text. And this, one of my favorites. Here we go. Ready? Placeholders. Let's personalize it.
Yeah, total game changer. For those of you who are kind of new to the world of digital marketing, what a placeholder does is it kind of uses that piece of text and then it pulls it from your system. So first name, if I send out an email to the, however many of you are on this chat right now, and I said, hey, first name, it's going to put in Fred, John, Sarah, what have you. And personalizing those emails is such a big deal when you talk about what people are reading and just the amount of communications that get sent out into their inbox. That little personalization could very well be the difference between the open or the delete. The other thing that I always like to point out here is inside of that text editor, there's so many cool options with bullet points. You can have the stylized quotes, which I think look awesome on both a mobile and desktop device. I look at a lot of people's websites that they're publishing, and by and large, you guys are doing an awesome job. I love the creativity of the websites, but there's so much more you can be doing with the text to make those little things stand out with the bolding, links, things like that.
Look at how fancy. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I don't know if you guys saw this while Chris was talking. I took this thing, and this is like a pro tip for anybody. Like, I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it, the field, and watch what I do with this in just a second. So I'm going to go back out. I'm going to save and continue because we're out of the first one. And I know we're getting to campaigns. We're getting there. They're all made up of single emails. So we wanted to show you that first. But happy Patrick's Day, St. Patrick's Day. And then I'm going to paste in that thing. So now the person's name is in the subject of the email. What? I mean, you've seen it done. You've received those emails, and now you can do it too to your clients.
It's a huge difference, I think, for open rate to personalize it in that way.
Mm-hmm. Huge.
Absolutely massive. Down below, you have your send schedule. What time and day do you want it to go out? This will be in your local time zone. And then below that, you can start adding and building your recipient lists as well.
2 a.m. Why not? This is the only one, the single send campaign, that has this option. So somebody in a thread on this page said, how do I send an email to all of my contacts? Right here. So, or right here. I'm sorry, I'm pointing to the wrong side of the screen. But like, you can send it to everybody if you send a single send, because who the audience is supposed to be. Like, it's an email blast to everybody, right? It can be a specific group of people, like when we're looking at the different lists that you can choose, but this single one can go out to everybody up to 10,000. Wait, yeah. Yes, up to 10,000. That's it.
Which
Chris,
is
how many?
More than anyone allows without
anywhere
a fortune.
Yeah. So Chris, in your history as an agent, how many people did you know that had a database that was over 10,000?
Not an organized database, certainly not. I mean,
yeah,
you know, it's kind of like anything in life. If you're not starting with good ingredients, it's hard to make a good meal. And so
I love that. Yeah.
So,
sure.
and especially, you know, when you think about marketing, the best marketing is specific. Everybody on this call gets 1 to 200 emails a day that say, you know, are you a real estate agent in insert your market here? Do you want to buy product or service here? But that email that says, are you a RE/MAX agent that, you know, drives a Chevrolet? Like, you're going to open that email because you're like, that's made for me. That's like, that is me, right? And so while there are certain email blasts you'll send to all people, really thinking about those segments of who you're sending to are so important.
Absolutely. Karina, you and I are huge fans of this smart list. So I pulled up one that was already created. But in these recipients, so this is all, guys, this is all going to build. I swear we're getting to the drip campaign part of it. But in the recipients part, talk to me about how smart lists function and what changes as I keep my database up to date.
Yeah, one thing to note, more to your point that you mentioned in the beginning, this builder for the recipient list is the same builder that we have in Drip Campaign. So it's great to be able to see it here because it'll be really familiar when you're under Drip. But this is huge when you're thinking about how to automate something a little bit more. Because again, we want to work towards you spending a little bit of time in setup, but not spending a lot of time every single time you want to send something out. So when you're thinking about who you want this piece to go to, don't just think about the individual people. Think about the criteria that you can create that groups the people that you have. Think about their tag, for example, that you might have assigned. Think about the source of business. So maybe everybody that came in as a lead through your website. Think about anybody that fits a specific deal type, let's say, you know, everybody that's in one part of the transaction. Those are just some of the options that you have in this criteria. And when we talk about Drip, this gets even stronger. But this is a really, really good way to start to pull in groups instead of just manually building recipient lists, which from my experience, I think that's the hardest part of getting your database organized, is saying who goes where, who's what. If you just start using tags, it's the best way to be able to do it instead of trying to manually build an Excel sheet with contacts.
Excel. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, there's plenty of people who use Excel, and if you use it, great, it's valid, good. I'm as long as you're doing something. But in here, to your point, like I did, this is just a test. So the criteria I used to create this list was everybody who matches all of the criteria and adding multiples, adding layers. So maybe to Chris's point, I want everybody who lives in the 419 area code, but only if they're also tagged with client or contact or buyer, like being able to really segment down that group and make it refined so that it's just to people who specifically I know that are in this And that's it. It's that target marketing. And you can do that with this system. And this is the same recipient list builder that we're going to have in campaigns in just a minute, which is why we're going through it here for sure. And then this side. So somebody else in here, you can add a contact and examples of this.
Yeah, you can do a mix and match. So let's say you want to do everybody that's associated with the buyer tag, but you also want to include yourself, or you also want to include your assistant to make sure that it's getting in there, that it's being received on time. That's a great example of how to use those individual contacts. So you do a combination of criteria with a couple of individual contacts that you want to drop in there.
And then in real time, we see down here, we have all results, everybody that matches this criteria. And then you get to see, is it like, okay, now how many is it really going to go to? Well, only one. And if you haven't done a fantastic job of cleaning up your database, and maybe there's some duplicates in there, you're going to see that in here too. Mm-hmm. So don't feel like you have to have it spot on, crystal clear, perfect, because it's a smart system.
I don't know any other system that'll let you know before you send that there's a problem with an email address.
I think I sent to this one already. Karina, can you talk to that a little bit? Does it show you before it sends out, or?
You had to have had interacted with that contact before, but to Heather's point, it's giving you a warning. So in a lot of other systems, you'll get that warning in your reporting of the past email, but you'll still be able to send to that contact again. So even though this contact may have not worked in the previous section in any other system, you're able to use that same email again and again and again and keep getting the error. So here, even though you're using the same contact, the same email and everything, because maybe you didn't go back and check your database, you're getting like another warning and another an opportunity to be able to say, maybe I want to take this person out, or before I send this, let me go in and verify that this is the right address. So it's
right, because I don't check my reporting every time I send an email. So I'll go in. It's not until, maybe in agents, like I'm not getting, the newsletters, and then I'll go in to try to see, and I'll see that it's bounced or over quota, or maybe they change, there was a typo in there.
Right.
I don't know that until I actually go into the reporting functions and actually look at that, which I very rarely do. But
yeah,
so that right there would solve
huge.
that problem before it actually happens.
I love solving problems. And the phrase that I love, that actually I heard this, Chris, out of your mouth for the first time, when it's blue, you go someplace new. Look at how the mouse changes, right? So when it's blue at someplace new, right here on this screen, I can click in that and go right into that contact record and update the email address. So it's unbelievably smart and user-friendly. Love that part.
Isn't that a really great opportunity to do a phone call touch point too, to say, hey, I'm trying to send you really great communication. Can you just verify the email address that I have on file for you? And so phone call, email right after. Two really great touch points in one.
Okay, so this is the single send, but we're gonna hop. I'm gonna save this as a draft and hop into, because we're already 20 minutes in. So I want to talk about drip campaigns, because that's why we're all here, right? So all of these things that we started building up, the who, the database, absolutely important to make sure that your database is up to date and that it is a living, breathing thing. It is not something that you can just, okay, I put my people in there, I'm never going to touch them again, because things change. Like people are now actively buying or actively selling, or say, I want to list in the spring. Okay, cool. Whatever. And then be able to stay in touch with them, or people that phone numbers change, people get divorced and married, and that updating that database consistently is a really big deal. And to Chris's point, like nobody's got a 10,000 person database that's actually clean, right? Like you probably bought some mailing addresses at some point. I don't know. But that drip campaigns. So we're in drip campaigns. I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry. That happens.
Where's your agenda? Right there.
With my agenda. But I did want to talk about recipient lists. So in campaigns, there's three pieces. There's the who, which is the recipient lists, the what, which is the actual content. And we kind of just covered that, right? Of all the stuff that you have available. But what you see on this screen, these are the ones that say copy. Now I've already copied it in here. Most people, if they haven't been into this yet, are going to see a block up here. Karina, you want to talk about that block that we don't see on this screen right now?
Of course. So we talked a little bit about why the automation is important, but we also want to make sure that the touch points, so the emails that are going out, are high quality, because you don't just want to send a message out there. We talked a little bit about personalization. We talked a little bit about how to make that email stand out. So we wanted to give you a little bit of a step forward with that by providing 6 templates just to start, because there's going to be more in the future. But we wanted to provide you 6 templates to be able to immediately import into your account and start using them right away. So like Tavia mentioned, if you're logging into your account for the first time, you're going to see a message up top that says, import these templates for you. And as you import them, they'll drop into the bottom of your screen right there where you see those blue options. And you'll be able to see the 6 ones there, and you'll see exactly what they're for. And when we created them, the idea behind them was that we wanted to make sure we're addressing every part of the consumer journey. So some of you may be actively working with leads, some of you may be actively working with buyers, some of you may not be actively working with any kind of client. So it's really important for you to start regular touch points with those that are in between buying and selling, right? And those are the homeowner campaigns that we have, which I really love because that's just really good tips, good information, really great content on what to do as a homeowner, what to do during a specific season. And those regular communications that you're sending them with really good details on how to maintain their home, what to do in different seasons, that's what can eventually turn a cold prospect into a hot lead.
And this is, now they all say copied, but they say copied because they're copied from the original database, right? So they're all stuff that you've downloaded into your account.
Yep.
And then to Chris's point earlier, personalizing these, in this test account, in this account that we've got, I copied the existing homeowner campaign or existing homeowner drip, right? Here it is. It's in here somewhere. So I copied it and then I personalized it and made it my own. So I would go into the campaign. And then over here, you have the option to create a copy. And then that copy is what you would edit. I caution you not to delete it, right? Chris, do you want to talk about that? Don't delete it.
Don't delete it because there's no harm in keeping it in your account. And especially as once you become more comfortable with the system, it might change, but being able to always have that original right there at your fingertips, just so even if you're building one totally custom, you can just kind of see, does my screen here with the one I'm building from scratch look mostly like the screen on the template that I copied? It's just a really nice reference. Another thing I really like about this is you have an overview and then you just go into your little segments and focus on building those out.
Right.
So here's the overview where you can see we have the emails because these are the templated emails. We see the send schedule as well as the subject line ability to preview all from one screen. You don't have to go into every single email, really easy to use. Recipients will show up right above that once you add those. And then you just work left to right.
Yep. So the next, clicked on recipients, and this is where we're talking about the lists, right? So I had already said, if you create recipient lists ahead of time, you would click on a pre-made list. But starting from scratch, what are some ideas? Want to walk me through that? Some ideas on things you can create here. Doesn't this look familiar? Isn't that why we did that first? Oh, it's like I had a plan.
Yeah. Now, so for me personally, if I was kind of using the system as an agent or putting them on my agent hat, I would always build my lists first because I think it makes sense once you have your market to then build your content. And the way that I've seen a lot of folks using this builder is primarily using tags. The reason that tags are so easy to use is that you've already mentally put these people into different marketing segments by tagging them. So why not capitalize on the work you've already done and also market to them based on that segment that you've already put them in? So here, if we add a tag, we give it a second, it's going to pull in from your booj account who's going to be part of that tag.
Of course, I didn't have anybody in that. I'm sorry. Let's pick one that we might have one. Now, this is important. What's this little button up here?
Oh, the any all selector. So this is like a logic piece that is made by people way smarter than me. If we say all and we have multiple tags, they have to have all of those tags per person that we want to send to. If we choose any, they can have A or B.
Right.
Tag, for example.
Let's see if we have any pull up. I didn't, with as organized as I was, I didn't. Okay, good. So we had people in there. I'm going to hide those because those are real people. Yeah. But there are 70 total, 48 mailable, 22 unmailable. Now those 22 unmailable, it might be that they're in my CRM, but they don't have an email address. Or they're in my CRM, but I've tried to email them before and it bounced. To Karina's point earlier, you would have to go in and edit them, or it's a perfect time to pick up the phone and say, hey, I've been trying to send you this content that I think is going to be really valuable. You wouldn't say the content. That's so weird. Who talks like that? But you would call them and say, I want to send you something. I want to make sure your email address is right. Yeah. All right. This section over here. So I've added two, and I say any, and then what do I do with this? What's the use case over here? How would I use this as an agent?
Yeah. So let's say you're still working on cleaning up your database. And there are people that might fall into one of these tags that maybe you don't want to be performing these drip outreaches with. The one I always think of is active clients. So maybe somebody lives in currently St. John's neighborhood, but they're also an active client. And so sending them the drip campaign content that you're sending to everybody on a, every 60-day basis for St. John's isn't really appropriate when you're talking to them 2 to 3 times a week, looking at properties, trying to time when the next one hits the market. So if you have a tag like active buyer, for example, you could exclude everybody that has that tag that would otherwise fall into those other criteria. And this just helps you do those selections. Now, the one key piece of this is that if you set this up as a smart list, these will change dynamically. So as you add these tags to people's contacts, they then get added to this list, or when you remove that tag, they will fall off. What's really great about this is that it helps reduce the amount of management you're doing with your database. I know everybody here loves spending hours a day in Excel and CRM products instead of selling property, but you can save yourself that time by using those smart lists. That doesn't mean to never use the basic list, though, especially very specific, very kind of like zoomed in groups of people that you are managing carefully. You may want to use the basic list because they're not going to automatically hop in or fall off. You're able to manage that on a one-on-one. But we've kind of gone through this up here. We can also save this current recipient list or clear it if you're not getting the results that you want. And here's what's great is you have this, just like before, you're building this list and you can save it right here. Next, you're going to hop over into your emails. And what I like about this, I love this.
So nice. It's so clean and easy. Like every drip campaign builder I've ever used before has been just messy on the screen. And this is, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you don't have to learn a second language to build out your drip campaigns, which is what I felt like when building them in other software sometimes. But it's really simple. We have a number on the right-hand side that shows you what sequence it is. It starts at 1. We can go in and edit any of these emails, or we can load a different template, and it pulls from the entire template library. So maybe there was something from a different drip campaign that you really liked something about, and you just wanted to change a few things. You can load in that piece and bring it over. Of course, you can edit your subject line, your preview text, the content of this email. And then at the very top, you'll see the send schedule. So not only do you see numerically when they're sending out, but it says sends immediately after a contact or lead becomes a recipient. What would cause them to become a recipient list if it's a smart list? Adding a tag, for example. And we see here, sends 14 days after the previous email at 7 a.m. Laid out really clearly. And you can, of course, change this. So here, we can change it the time of day. We can change the number of days later that it's sending out.
And that's 14 days after this email goes, right?
Yeah.
And then this one is 14 days after this email goes. So every 2 weeks or every month or every whatever frequency you want, really.
Yeah, and you can, of course, go in and add additional emails. You can also reorder these if you wanted using the little up and down arrows. So if you're doing this kind of from scratch, and now that you think about it, that email should be second, not third. You just give it a click, it swaps, and it pulls in that preview, which I really like on the left-hand side too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look at all the stars. Love it. That's great.
So here's your drip campaign. Of course, you could spend time editing this, adding additional emails, subtracting emails using the little trash can icon on the right-hand side. But once you're ready to rock, from here, it's really simple. You can hop into your settings. You have one setting to change. This impacts when somebody can't be sent the email campaign. What is the system? What do you want the system to do? Do you want them to just skip that instance of the email and try again, or just pull them off of stop the campaign entirely? And once you're ready to get active, you have a button that says Activate Campaign. Yeah. It does give you a warning when you click on that, just so everybody knows this. When you activate a campaign, you have a 30-minute window before it starts activating. Same thing with when somebody hops onto your recipient list in a smart list, or you add them in a basic list. This is an important buffer of time. Of time, just so that we want to make sure that you're not sending something you don't need to send.
So I have a question about that, Karina, actually, and this is like a legit. I just had it pop into my brain question. It's not on the outline. I'm so sorry to scare you with this, but there is a 30-day send when you first create the campaign, right? When you click, or 30-day, I'm so sorry, 30 minutes? Good Lord. So 30 minutes from the time you click activate. But if I add a tag to someone in real time and it was a smart list, what's the delay there to send? So if I'm a buyer and I add a buyer tag, how long before that campaign starts?
That's immediately, if the first email is to go out immediately. So that 30 minutes delay is only from the clicking of the activate button for the very beginning of the first sequence. But
That's awesome.
the great thing about Smart List is that while you're pulling everyone under the tag that we were using, if next week you meet someone else that falls under that same category, all you have to do is add them to your CRM, add that tag to them, and they'll automatically flow in to the drip campaign. And one important thing to note is they're going to start at the beginning of the sequence. And I'm getting that question a lot. So while the majority of your contacts that you initially imported are maybe on email 3, other contacts can be in email 1. So they're always at different places within the drip campaign, which is what makes the system so smart.
Yeah. And if you click into one of the campaigns, you can see this from an analytical perspective, and it is so cool to get all that data.
Yeah.
So not only do you have the same powerful dashboard that you saw kind of for all your emails, but now you're seeing them at a per email basis, the sent, the open rate, the click rate, as well as the unsubscribe rate. So if you're building campaigns and maybe you all of a sudden on email 4 start seeing a spike in unsubscribes, instead of having to rebuild your campaign, you can just focus in on email 4. Is there a change to the subject line or a change to the content that you can now work on and massage a little bit to get over that hump and get them into the next piece of content?
Yeah. And that's where the pause button really comes in handy, because let's say you notice something like that. You have an active campaign and you're checking your reporting and everything's going great until email 4. That's when you can pause it, go in, maybe edit the subject line, tweak some things to make that email look a little bit more desirable, reactivate it, and everybody just continues where they left off.
So let's talk, because you said that, but I want to like pause here for a second and talk about pausing the campaign. So if I pause the campaign, it stops momentarily. And if I don't reactivate it, then it's not going to keep going. But if I pause it, it's not like it's going to restart for everybody. It's going to pick up where it left off. Is that correct?
Exactly. So the consumer really doesn't notice that you're pausing unless it's a prolonged pause that overlaps with the email schedule. But if you pause, it makes some changes. And Tavia, you are on email 3. The minute it activates, whenever you're set to receive email 4, you're going to receive email 4. You don't start again.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I think, okay, it's been 40 minutes, but I think we covered it all in 40, everything that was on my agenda in 40 minutes. We talked, that was so much packed into like a little bit of time, but we talked about single campaigns, recurring. Oh, can I just show you something recurring? Let's go to St. Patrick's Day. So I have this one as a draft. And to Chris's point, we're talking about scheduling. This is the specific day of a year. So this one would be July 4th, right? But day of the year, this is like Thanksgiving, or is Memorial Day on a set day of the year and Labor Day? I think, I don't know. Like I'd have to Google that. But you could say day of the year. So 4th Thursday of November, if that's what Thanksgiving is. And I'm sure somebody in the comments is going to correct me if I'm wrong, which is cool. We work as a team here. Okay. And then it ends on a specific date or number of occurrences. So if I wanted to send this out for 10 years, awesome, and then come back to it, like, great, then I don't have to think about it for 10 years. And if somebody gets happy, it's the same email every Thanksgiving, but do you remember exactly what email you got a year ago? I don't think so. No, probably not. Yeah, so I love that. Save as draft and exit. I'm not going to actually start that one. Whew, goodness.
I have a question.
Yes.
Although my husband decided he's like working outside, which is, close to my office window. I don't know if you can even hear all that.
A little bit.
So I have a question, and it may be something that's in the future, or maybe something we could do. So my brain is just coming up with all these crazy ideas for our own created drip campaigns on a broker level. You can have an onboarding, agent drip. For an agent, you could have, my top 5 seller or buyer tips. It would be awesome to be able to create like an email or a lead page or something to where if somebody fills it out, it automatically gets tagged with something. Is that something we can do where somebody automatically gets a tag in some weird way, or is that just not possible yet?
That's a great idea. I don't know, Karina, I'm not sure if that falls under your, like if we create a page and then automatically, I know you can do it based on source. So if we look at source, that's what's actually in the works right now to make sure that works spectacularly, is that if it's sourced from website, from agentoffice.com, Megaphone, like depending on what the source is, you can build a campaign around that. And that's actually in the works, right? I think that's going to be ready next week. It's in QA right now, right?
So I guess that's like a lead portal. So if we actually built like a landing page, kind of, a page on our booj website in that contact block, it would be really awesome to be able to have a drop down for a tag.
That would.
Just saying, that would be awesome. That would be like the quickest fix, right? And then we can have the buyer in the seller's guide, the buyer guide, get my 5 tips or videos or whatever, and then we can just set up the drip. So I don't even know how to add that to the ideas portal without confusing someone, but there you go. There's my idea.
I'll figure out a way to write it up, and then I'll send you the link and we can vote it up together. You're like, okay, here's the use case, 5 paragraphs long. Oh my goodness. And here's some screenshots, and here's a loom. Let's do this. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. It would allow for, like Tavia, like you mentioned, we do have the source of business, but to make it a little bit more specific, to automatically add a tag. So let's say it's a landing page on your website for one specific effort or one specific property even. Anybody that inquires on that page is automatically tagged by whatever you said. I think it's a great idea. It's something we definitely look into.
Yeah, and we currently have a lot of the automation built out with like task plan automation, where a lead gets added to my system, 25 tasks now appear, and you're all set to go. Extending that to drip campaigns would be really cool.
Really cool. Yeah, no, I love it. And that's bonus stuff for you guys here. If you haven't seen those tasks in the task plan automation, I stopped sharing my screen already, but definitely go into that and take a look at there are a lot of things in here that you can automate. Okay, I have not been looking at the comments at all. Heather, is there anything that came up? Because I was focused on the screen. If Chris was directing me, I wanted to drive in the right place.
I think the only other question we had is like being able to upload your own template or PDF, but that's, I mean, you can't really upload a template per se, anything, but I do know that you can set up your own, build a template, right? Mm-hmm. That's like a thing.
Yeah, and you can upload PDFs, and we actually went over that in one of our web builder sessions, right? So if you upload a PDF and then take a screenshot of it as an image, you can link to that PDF. So they click on it, and then the PDF opens. You can do that in emails too. Really cool stuff.
The image, it's just you're uploading the PDF and using that link to be able to put into that, the URL part of it. Mm-hmm. And my only other question is, when I go in to build an email and I go to add a block, I would love all the blocks we can have on our booj website. So that's another wish list, because like on an office level, I would love that whole join Remix widget, or just be able to have more. I want more. That's all. But I would love, the blocks are already in the website. And I guess because I'm in there, like 24 hours a day, I feel like sometimes when I go over to the CRM, I'm like, no, we want more. Like, give me, where's this one? Or where's this one? I just think
blocks to email builder, and then trigger based on, I'm seriously going to write these up for you and send you the link afterwards, because that's how I roll. So add blocks to email builder and trigger tags based on web page. Is that what? Okay.
Yeah, like the contact form, it would be really cool, because it's kind of like, it is what it is. Here's the contact form on the website. It just gets generated as a lead. On a broker site, it's a little harder because a lot of times it may be like a vendor or just somebody filling it out. Right. Luckily, we have the Join Remax block now, so at least that's not a round robin to our agents. But it would be really cool to be able to select in that contact block, maybe a drop down for a tag, especially because I think a lot of agents would love, even on the buyer and seller guides, we could have something that says, get my 5 tips or whatnot, or just to be able to add them into something so they're automatically put on one of the drip campaigns, that whether they've built or pre-built.
Almost like for the consumer to self-identify as I'm a buyer or I'm a seller, and then that does it. Yeah, no, I worked with systems that do that in the past. So Anna is saying, and I think this is the question that's down there. I think this is a Karina question. So Karina, what does the future of drip campaigns look like? I mean, we've got a great start, for real. This is great. But what do you think is next that you're allowed to tell us about?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot in the works, but we are really building with everybody in mind. Some people on this call might have already been part of our feedback sessions, and I think you're part of one of them. So we're really looking towards a future with all of you in mind, and making sure that we're actively listening to you, because we don't want to build alone. We want to make sure that whatever we build is specifically for all of you. So when it comes to the future of it, the most immediate thing that we're working on, it's a big task, but one that we're really, really excited about, is called the template library. And the reason why that one's so important to us is because we heard loud and clear from even before we announced that Drip was available, was that you wanted a lot of content. So that template library is going to allow us to keep feeding you content. And not only that, we're working in a way so that admins within your specific offices can also give you content specific to your area. So that's why it's a big project, but we're really excited about it. It's already underway. It's probably the next big thing that's coming when it comes to Drip. And then we've heard lots of other really great ideas that we're researching. You know, like people want to integrate text. What's the best way to do that? People want to automate even more. People want to have more triggers, more conditions, things like that. There's so many great ideas, but we're making sure that they're all validated by you so that we're spending time on what's going to make the biggest impact to your business, not just on what we think is cool. We want to make sure that it ultimately makes a big difference in your day-to-day in a good way.
Good. I like it. Thanks for that. Chris, do you have any parting thoughts before we let everybody get back to their day?
No, I just want to remind everybody, we have so many videos that we uploaded in the past 2 weeks to Remax University. This is going to be brand new for a lot of you. It might be the first time you're using a drip campaign builder. I know we talk about how it's easy to use, but a week from now, you're going to be in there and you're like, oh, how do I just have to make that one click. I don't know where it's at. There's so much content in there. And if you can't find your answer there, just throw in a live chat to product support. They can show you where you need to go. But go in there, play, have some fun. And I hope you're really excited about it. And I can't wait to show you what's next.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Cool. Miss Heather, did we answer all your questions? I know you said you had questions you're going to save until the end.
No, those are my 2 questions as we are going about it. And my husband is making all sorts of crazy loud. We have that carport thing, and
oh yeah,
we decided at the last minute to add the nice eave. Well, when we did that, we're that short of being able to actually use it to back our camper in. So he's on top of the camper, like doing something so that our camper will fit, other than flattening the tires to back, like so close. So close. So that's what he's doing right now. And I'm like, really, dude?
While I'm live? Yeah, my daughter got the door shut.
Just give me an hour. Come on.
I hear you. All right,
so
cool.
I think that's it. I'm excited to play. I know that I'll probably come up with other ideas, just as everyone else will, when they're in there playing. Make sure to go to the ideas.remax.net. Do a search. I think you can even look for the booj CRM to see what other people have put in there. Vote the ideas up, because I know, as everyone has mentioned before, that's how we're able to help the developers know exactly what we need. And that's by us voting up the ideas. I believe in the tech and tools, we even have like that ideas and the announcements. Put in that thread, the link to your idea, and let us help you vote that up. So make sure to use that portal, doing searches, to add all your awesome ideas, and let us know so we can all help each other make this the absolute product that we want. I do love that everything is kind of seamless and together. We just need some good input to make it really work. And now I'm really wanting to create pages in my own drips and want my little drop down for an automatic tag. Just saying.
Okay.
I love the idea.
That's
right,
good.
cool.
And then next week, I believe, is we're doing the video editor hustle. We've got some great guests, unless I'm trying to figure out when I'm supposed to be going camping for spring break, and then it's R4. So I can't even book a flight right now. Like, I didn't know if I'm driving, if I'm flying, and there goes my husband again. So loud in here. So I may have to reschedule that till we get back from R4. We'll see how that works, but I'm super excited that we got to have you, and I hope to see you guys at R4 virtually or in person. I will be there, and I think that's it.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Thank you.